All right, you ready? Agot Vinter Aboisai.
One more shot. Do it again.
I'm doing it.
We'll start tomorrow.
You're messing with me, right?
Let's say it wasn't recorded.
Aboisai, it was a beautiful, beautiful yontif. We don't have videos today, so what? It's okay. The speakers are, yeah, thanks. Shkar for everybody, for everything that you've done, for coming, for participating, for the unbelievable. I'm really gonna miss it. It was. Everything was great. The Yerushalayim, the Sukkah, the thanks Avi. I never thanked you in public. Avi's the one that commissioned that piece of art in my Sukkah of all the characters, so thank you for that. Hi Reb Eli, good vach. Thank you so much for your shiurim. I really enjoy them. It gives me chiyos for the whole day. Worth waking up every morning. This is a bacher, Shlomi Fortune. We know him from Yerushalayim. He comes in from Yerushalayim. Here he is, Shlomi. Right over there. You got him, Gershon? He's on the right side. 2 benches. By the way, if you're already there, here he is. But right behind him, we have 2 guests from Sydney, Australia. The Brills from Sydney, Australia. Gilly and Aaron? Iran. I almost got it. From Sydney, Australia. It's unbelievable. So welcome.
Friends of Elvis's boss.
Whatever. We'll talk about how they. Yeah. Met someone at zchus Beis Sheva and he told me that his brother's a big Magichir in a Raisa. And he watches the shir as well, that Magid Shirs. I can't attend the shir in person in RBS. I enjoy doing it in our sukkah with Rebbe in front of me. He wins the award of the most pictures of myself. Brings a lot of anova. 3 pictures. More pictures than we had of myself in my own sukkah. Unbelievable. Looking forward to be back in RBS and Mir Hashem right after being Zmanim. All the best. Shlomi Fortune. Yishkar Shlomi. Do we have any other ones? So, first of all, as I promised, I believe that Jack Stepner stepped it up by $10. I'm only going to mention his name. Jack Stepner, $10. What? Never mind. There are more. No. It's good enough. There's another person that stepped it up, but I'm not going to mention his name until tomorrow. The Koilel is sponsored anonymously. Refuah Shlaima from Miriam Bas Leah Rachel. The Masech is sponsored leading Shmas Yosef Baruch Ben Moshe Aaron and leading Shmas Mishal Loza Ben Nota Shalom for that hatzlacha and for my children. The Masech is sponsored by Jeff Razin and zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim Ben Sarah Chana, who has a brain tumor. Refuah Shlaima. Amen. Rest of the Masech is sponsored by Ofishel Mitzva Motivators. Avraham Mנשה Ben Chana Bracha Refuah Shlaima. Panas HaChodesh leading Shmas zechariah Ben Moshe. Rabbi, we have a very, very fascinating daf with many, many words. It's going to take, just to read it, it's going to take some time. So you're going to have to move, but it's an amazing, amazing Agadita kind of daf with a lot of lessons, life lessons, world famous classic story about Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rebbe. And here we go. We're holding Daf Kuf Beis, Amud Beis by the new Sugya. Lo yoymar Rishon, if there are 2 husbands involved, and they both promised support for the stepdaughter. So the first one can't say, well, there's a second one, let him take care of her. So where does he bring the support? He brings the support over to the mother's house. So you see from here, the Gemara wants to bring a raya in custody battles. The mother always gets the daughter. As the Gemara, maybe the Mishnah is talking about a Ktana, and there's a special Gzer by Ktana. Crazy thing here. A lot of stuff is gonna today. It's gonna blow your mind. Everything, including this right over here. Somebody died and there was a small kid. The Yarshim say, "Let him grow up with us." This whole sugi is talking about even in a divorce, a fight between a father and a mother. But we're talking about Yarshim of the father's side versus the mother. You give the son to the mother. We take this for granted, but we have to talk about it. We don't give it to, let's say, the uncle. Why? Erev Rosh Hashanah or Erev Pesach. So, a terrible story, tragedy. Because they wanted to get the monetary gain here, that this kid is going to take away from, let's say the brother left over $10 million. So the kid gets, from Zionist gets $1 million, gets 10%, says Rashi. So to gain that gain, they, by mistake, they wanted to shech the sheep, Erev Pesach, by mistake, the knife hit the kid, by mistake. They killed the kid. He didn't even have one night over there, and they already killed him. They have crazy people around, so for these crazy people, we have to make zerus. So how do you know that we're talking about a gdoila? Maybe we're talking about only a Chana, and there's a special gzeira. Gdoila could stick up for herself, at least put up a fight. It says Gemara, MK, and listening, l'makim shehi, depends where she's at. Why does it say that it goes to the mother? The whole deal of the Gemara to begin with was that it doesn't say it should go to the base it says base ima. Okay. My l'makim she'ima. Why does the Mishnah stick in these two words? Rebbe, we're talking about Rebbe. When Rebbe wrote, as I'm going to quote the Rambam later on, the Rambam talks about Rebbe and he says he was a I don't know the word, a linguist. He had Lashon Kodesh. He spoke in a beautiful language, and every word that he said was very important to understand things. And he wrote l'makim she'ima, where the place where the mother is. Shmas mina, from Rebbe's words, he learned bas etzalaim. No matter what, the daughter goes to the mother. I don't know about the son, the daughter goes to the mother. Loishnek doilov, loishnek tana, doesn't matter. Next sugya, loyoyim shneim, says Gemara, ugaver do igel l'rechaya l'chavrei l'tchina. A guy had a mill for grain to make flour, and he himself couldn't do it. He was getting older, whatever the reason is. He rented it out to his friend, and his buddy, in return, had to give him some flour. He didn't pay him in cash. He gave him flour. The guy won the lottery. The guy that owned the mill won the lottery. Look what he did with his extra money. Went ahead and bought the automatic mill, the one with a machine, the one with a motor. In those days, it was a donkey. And I noticed in this picture, it's interesting because the few pictures I saw online, these donkeys, they close their eyes because the donkey's going to get upset. Why am I going in a circle? So they close his eyes and say, go. And he thinks he's going straight. I guess that's the reason. I don't know. Every picture I saw, they had some sort of cover over his eye. But I'll go upon him. Here you see the weed on the rechai, and then the wheel turns. Fine. So now he says, listen, Omer le, agra. I could make my own flour. I already don't need to do it by hand. I already have a donkey. I have enough money. I don't need flour. So I'm asking you to switch it into cash. Start giving me cash. Omer le, no way. I'm not giving you cash. Mitchan technin alach. That's it. All I'm doing is I'm keeping my deal. So Ravina said, perhaps we could see this from that Mishnah. You have two husbands. They got divorced. One got divorced, second one comes in. They both promised they're going to take care of the stepdaughter. So you don't say, well, the deal was I'm going to sustain her. I'm going to give her bread and water and cereal. And Memelo, when she remarries another man, he could keep his deal and give her bread, water, and cereal. No, the second guy is giving the bread, water, and cereal. So the first guy switches into cash. So there also, when he doesn't need flour anymore, it switches into cash. It's just normal, common sense halacha, maybe. Says Gemara, there's no connection. The girl can't eat more than one bowl of cereal in the morning. So what are you going to give her? 2 bowls? How does that help? Over here, he could say, you make flour, sell it. You make the cash. I'm giving you flour. That was our deal. I'm giving you flour. In other words, he has a way out of it. Why should I? Says when the guy, says Rashi, if he doesn't have customers, I have nothing better to do with my time, says Rashi. I don't feel like giving you cash. I feel I don't have a customer. I'm going to spend my time wisely. I don't want to just sit and do nothing. So I'm going to give you flour. Hours our deal. Reb Eli said, just a quick riddle. If a guy is sitting and he doesn't have customers, he wants more customers. What is the best eitzah for him? How do you get customers? What's the best marketing tip? The guy owns a mill. Open up a Gemara, guarantee within 2 minutes somebody will show up. That's the Zgula. Okay, just wanted to make sure. He was saying learn Torah as a Zgula. No, you open up a Sefer. Yeah. All right, Vinter. But if he has customers, so we have this concept. I don't know how it works today. I think Bezin could once in a while invoke this concept. But if a person is going to be disgusting about it and he's selling his flour anyways, so give him the cash. Why force? He doesn't want to make flour. The owner of this mill doesn't want to make flour. He wants cash. So if you have nothing to lose, then you're a zdaimnik. And we can enforce laws against zdaim behavior. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Moshe Cohen zchus for limited Torah and continued hatzlacha and parnasa. Almana sha'amra yev she loses mibeis bali. I want to stay. Almana, she loses her husband. She doesn't want to leave the house. She's in the house. She lived there for 20 years. Why should she move? So the inheritors can't kick her out of the house. Go back to your father's house. Find another place to live. We'll support you. No. They have to support her and give her what she has coming, what she was used to. She says, I don't want to leave my father's house. I like my father's house. I was there through the Shiva, Shloishim. Now I want to stay there. If you stay by us, you have mezainis, full mezainis. But if you stay by your father's house, we're not going to support you. So this is going to sound crazy to everybody that hears this. So I'm just going to tell you, don't worry about it. She gets mezainis. What they're saying is, we don't want to give you as much as if you would have lived by us. And we're going to get to the Gemara. There's different reasons why they could save money if she lives by them. So that money that they save, they're not going to give to her. She's 25 years old. They are also 25 years old. It's not a good shidduch to be in the same house. Now, they can never marry her. She is the wife of a father. They can't marry her. So it's not appropriate for them to live in the same house with her. And she's claiming a claim of tznios. That makes more sense. She goes back to her father's house and they give her full support. Tana Rabbanon, we're by the Gemara. Tana Rabbanon. She uses the house like she used it when her husband was alive. With the slaves, with the blankets and the sheets, with all the gold and silver that was in the house. Because it says in the Kesubos, as long as you're an almana, you stay in my house. In my house, the way the house was, exactly. I can't put her in a corner somewhere and say you can't use the stuff in the house. She gets to use everything like when her husband was alive. Yosef that doesn't apply to if a guy left over a little hut. So she's taking up the whole hut. For that, they could say, you know what? Adios. It's a nice house. There's rooms. So she'll live in one room. Take a typical almana, 75-year-old, 89-year-old almana. She stays in the room in the corner, and the 40-year-olds, they roam the rest of the house. Fine. By the way, just this Yantav, I was talking to some guys in Kailul who have never in their life been on vacation. They say, one time we went, there was a bar mitzvah. So there's a maisa where a guy like that, Kailul guy, goes to the hotel, and shows up and they take him to his room. He says, even for my standards, this is too small. I can't bring my whole family to this. He said, no, calm down. This is just the elevator. Okay. No, because I'm talking to people that have never been on a vacation, never left. Remember, you know what I'm saying? It's like, person has 16 kids. There's no way for him to, how's he going to go on vacation? And how could he afford it? But how could he even get there? I don't know. Fine.
But you said you've never been in an elevator?
Okay, fine. Saying every building here has an elevator. You're right. Okay, no joke. Take back the joke. Omer of Nachman. He's never been to the Waldorf of elevator. So he sees the mirrors and this. He thought, maybe there's a room. Okay, fine.
He was following his wife while already in the bar.
Whatever. Omer of Nachman. Yisoymim. Let's say they jump ahead, like we had all these sugyas, people jump and they grab. They jumped ahead and they sold the house. It's nothing. Why? Because it's meshubad ready to the almana. And why is this any different than when it comes to the daughter? We had the sugya of the man who dies, he leaves very few nechasim. So what do you do with it? So it says that if they ran ahead and they sold it, the Yisayim machru machru. But l'maisa, at the end of the day, the daughters, the brothers and sisters, the brothers went ahead, instead of supporting their sisters, they went ahead and they sold it. It's wrong, but they did it. Okay, fine. It's a good mechira. So over here also, over here, the house, she already has a lien on it when he's alive. The house, she has a lien, but when it comes to the food, the daughters, the sisters don't have a lien on it. It only became available to them once their father dies. Then they have to go claim it from the Yisayim. At that point, it was already too late because the Yisayim went and sold it. I found this halacha very fascinating. In other words, I don't understand it. The halacha is that if the house fell down, the Yoshim don't have to rebuild it. In other words, the almana could live in the house as long as the house is up and going. Now, it took me a few moments to realize that we're not talking about houses like we have today, made out of cement and that last for hundreds of years. I guess there's a certain life shelf, shelf life. You build a house, 20 years later, it's done. You build another one, made out of mud. I don't know what they built it then. So if the house, she could only live there. That's how you have to explain it, just to understand what's going on here. She could live there until it falls down. Fine. Atkan, I get. Tainam hachi, mother almana shenafal, ena yoshim chavel. Noisa, if it fell down, it says the Bryce, so you don't have to build it. Let's say she offers to strengthen it and make it, ain't Chaim law. Rebuild it? No.
Today it would be different because there's strong houses.
But what if it falls down? No. Well, today also. Once it falls. We just don't anticipate. There's no such thing. Like, I've never heard of a house falling, really, in my lifetime. But if you think about it, where are the cities that existed 2,000 years ago? They don't exist anymore because everything fell. Everything used to fall, I guess. I don't know. Earthquakes. I don't know what. Fine. Now listen to this one. Baya. Shiptza mai. She made a shiputz. She brings in, the cousins, and she redoes the whole thing. What's the Gemara Shaila? What is the Gemara Shaila? How do you learn? Or what's the other tzad? And or can she say as long as it's very good. That's what I would think. What he just said. What do you mean what? You weren't paying attention? Okay, let me repeat what he said. He said, the question is, could she stay as long as it would have stood? In other words, this house, we anticipated falling down in 5 years, so she could stay for 5 years. Or because she made a shiputz, she could stay forever, for another 25 years. That's not what Rashi says. Rashi says the question is, could we kick her out right now, this minute? Or could she stay up until we anticipated falling? So that's why I don't understand this sugi so well. Okay, Vinter, Teiku. You hear? A little bit of an issue. Looking your Gemara over there, you have a mitzvah to right? Is that how they explain it?
Why is it different than honeychuni? Something is whether she could do it.
No, that's a different thing. No, hanichuni v'avneno, the ain't Chaim law. We don't let her lechatchila. But what happens if she went ahead and she did a shiputz without asking? Omri Yefshi, we got to go weiter. Omri Yefshi. Ask the Gemara. Let me get this out of here.
No, the gears have changed. I think if you do that, then they change the gears. So they say that if you wrote shiputza instead of shipitza.
Shiptza mai.
Can she do it?
Okay, that's not what Rashi learns it here.
No, it's a marshal.
So it brings it the way we understand it.
Yeah?
You understand Rashi.
Really? Let's read Rashi together. That's one side that everybody understands. As long as it's
Which means go out.
Go out. Okay, I don't know. I understood it like that. Fine. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. What?
He just brings another option.
All right. Omra EFC. Vilaysullah asked the Gemara. Vilaysullah Yosef. So ask the Gemara, why don't we give her Vilaysullah Yosef Hasam? As if, why does the Mishnah say, I already explained it in the Mishnah, but why does the Mishnah say that she doesn't get anything? She goes to her father's house, she gets no mezainis. Why not? What's the difference? They all are mezainis if she lives in their house, it's $100 a month, and she goes to her father's house. Why does she get zero? Says the Gemara, so this is interesting. When there's a lot of people in the house, there's a lot of bracha. Why? Says Rashi, either this makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. There's a different mazel. Each person brings a mazel into the house. But how do you quantify that? It's a little bit of a problem. Another thing Rashi says, when there's a lot of people in the house, this one does this thing, this one does that thing, so the house runs better. So it's easier to operate. Now, I like Taisus Pshat. We always go with Rashi, but Taisus says that the cost, the costs don't go up, the standard cost of living. If you add another person, you rent a house, so it costs you $1,000 a month to operate the house. You add another person, it costs peanuts. There's nothing there really. You're already paying the mortgage and the arnona, the taxes, the electric, everything is already there. You add another person. So they can say, we already have everything going. We don't want to support you. We don't want to give you another place to live and everything else. Fine. Says Gemara, so at least take off whatever the costs are to live in another place, but give her the difference. Hachinami, you're right. Enochanami, you do have to support her. The only thing they're going to save is the difference of cost for her to live by herself by her father's house versus in their house. Whatever that difference is, you bring in a guy to see how much it costs if she would be in their house versus living at her father's house. I don't know what the difference would be exactly because he also has low cost. Fine, whatever the difference is. On Ravuna, Loshen Chachamim Bracha, Loshen Chachamim Oisher, Loshen Chachamim Marpe. This is very interesting because I personally didn't look it up, but over here, we've been talking about this throughout Shas, and over here it's Meforish. That when you look into the words of the Gemara, there's many, many things that you could find hidden beyond the words that we're reading. If you just look into it, like the famous story of the Chazon Ish. I didn't verify, I didn't speak to the Chazon Ish, but it's a famous story. And if it's not true, it could be true. That he gave a whole, I think it's in Peradar, in the famous book, that he gave a whole sketch to a doctor and he says, this is the brain, and this is where you come in from here and do the surgery like this. And they said, how do you know? He says, no, it's in the Gemara. I found it in the Gemara. Whether he found it from Chulin, and I don't know how. But over here also, you see this idea that you can become wealthier, you become healthier, all from within the Gemara. Bracha, Hadam Maran. The Gemara just taught us an idea that if you have more people in the house, this almost sounds like Rashi, not like Tosfos, that there's more mazel, there's more bracha, there's more family members in the house, bring more shefa into the house. Okay. Oisher, how do you find wealth in the Gemara? I'll give you an example. If a person does Mashicha on fruit, of course it becomes his. If he didn't measure, it doesn't matter. If he just measured and he didn't make a kinyan, he didn't do Mashicha, but he did a Medida, like Chana. Now, it's interesting because it seems like who we're talking about, the buyer. But if the buyer does a Medida, that is a Mashicha, it's referring to the seller. The seller doesn't do a Madad, then it's not a Kinyan. So now here's the little hint. If you want to do good business, what you do is you're worried that the price is going to go up. Give the guy $1, then you buy the property that all the fruit is on. Let's say there's a semi-trailer truck worth of fruit. How are you going to carry it? How are you going to schlep it? How are you going to do mashicha with $1? You give him $1, it becomes yours. Then the price goes up. It's your price that went up, not the seller. Marpei. This, for instance, I remember learning this Gemara. I don't think I picked up on it. I have to go back to that daf in Pesachim. But there's a Mishnah in Pesachim that says, Lo yilos adam chidin, v'yaniach al agabi makosi v'pesach, mipnei shemachmitzois. It's hatzlacha that you shouldn't chew grain on Pesach to put it on your wound because the saliva creates chametz. So we just read it and we flew by it without picking up that actually if you do that during the year, it has tremendous healing powers. Little trick, you chew grain, you put on your wound. In those days, if you know how to do it, like everything else. Okay. Torah Abana. So here we go. Here's the Agadah to the famous story about Rebbe. B'shas p'tirosish Rebbe Omar. And this is connected to our sugya because of letting the wife stay in the house that we've just learned. And then it goes into a whole arichos about Rebbe's p'tira. When Rebbe was nifter, he said, Levana and Yitzarach, call in my sons. They came in, Omar lahem, Yizar v'chvoid imchem. Be careful with your mother's honor. Now, obviously, we're not talking about the mother here. We're talking about a stepmother. And he called her, the stepmother, your mother. Interesting. Nerye dolok b'mkoymai. I intend to come back and visit you people. So make sure that the lamp is on where I usually sit, especially before Shabbos. I want to be Chal Shabbos. Make sure my table is right there where it's supposed to be. I'm going to take a little shlof afterwards. Coming back. Yosef Chayfani, Yosef from Chayfa, Shimon Efrasi from Efrat. They were my Mishamshim. They're going to be with me after I die. Why does he need Shamashim after he dies? Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lahavdil, has Malachim, Mishamshim. He doesn't need it. But it's a way to show honor. I'm just quoting. I saw a lot of stuff today. So if I forget a name or something, but this I think it's the Ben Yoyada or something like that, they're there. Izar b'chvoid imchem. As the Gemara deraisi, to honor your mother, it's a deraisi. D'chsiv kaved zavicha v'simecha. Eishav. Oh.
Saying by when Adam was created, Hashem asked the Malachim to help.
But kaved zavicha is in Shmois, not in Bereshis. But okay.
The one before about honor, about bringing people in. Same thing with Adam.
Huh?
Adam Rishon.
Yeah.
Hashem consulted.
That you're saying that. Okay. Yeah. Says Gemara, says Gemara, she's only stepmother. Says Gemara, you have to honor your stepmother. The sign es avicha zuesh avicha es the rabbis, right? We're doing according to the mandama that says that you darshan all the es in Shabbat Torah. Es to include your father's wife. Vesimecha zubalimcha. You have to honor your mother's husband. And vav yiseir l'rabbis es achicha agadol. This is very interesting. I hope my brother's listening. There's a mitzvah, deraisa, to honor your older brother, especially the b'char. It's a shaila if older or who's the oldest? Avi? Okay. No, seriously. You have a mitzvah, I'm not joking, to serve him a cup of water. Just like a son has a mitzvah to serve an older sister, there's a machlek zechronim. But brother. Now, certainly the b'char, according to everybody, which I am, and you are, that's it. Get going, Hillel. And even older, just one older. He'll come around. You can go even this way.
I'm going to bring her a cup of water.
Okay. Yeah, but not in. Okay, do it just for the hack. But you should know that you don't do that in the middle of learning. For the show. Go ahead. Go, Go bring him. Now you have a double. Go get him. No. Oh, he's telling you to sit down. That's the covenant. He told you to sit down. You have to be mechaber him. It's not a joke. People take it lightly. I never saw anybody. My brother's never mechabered me. Every time we meet people in the street, he tells people. They say, "Who's older?" He says, "I'm more mature." He makes a joke about me like a chutzpah. Put him in his place now. Okay. Next, the whole point of honoring your father's wife is to give him honor. But once your father is dead, The father is dead. Wow, unbelievable.
Warm water.
Woo! Shkoyach. Thank you. But make it a habit. You should come over every day. Give him some meat. He's going to the airport tomorrow. Take him to the airport. Hello, that's it. It's not a joke. It's the same on the same level as Kibbut Avim. People don't realize this. I'm not making a joke here. It's not a joke.
He's like, it's only the law.
Only. It's more than a Rabbanan. Okay, you're saying what he's trying to say is, I don't know if we paskin like those who darish in the S, because he took back Sheminam Sunni. Who was it that took back all? Okay. It's in the Shulchan Aruch, by the way.
What happens if you have your brother?
It's in the Shulchan Aruch.
What do you do? Both of them there is.
Okay, now you're passing, but it's in the Shulchan Aruch. Well, Yosef, you feeling bad? You having? Are you the oldest? You're not the oldest, right?
I do.
Okay, you're not the. I knew it right away. If you were the Bukhari, you wouldn't be talking like that. You say, of course, for you do him. You don't want to sit and be fried. That time you chutz to your brother, flip you over on the burger on the grill up there. Three. Here, come here, Yosef. Get over here. Yosef, seriously, come here. How many people came over here in the Kaisel on Erev? 3 people came over here in the Kaisel on Erev Yantav. Ayeli's brother. Well, the Erev Yantav, 3 people, not a joke. There you go. We have a lot to learn. Let's go. Yeah, that was a different story. Why did Rebbe ask his family to make sure that there's a light there? Says the Gemara, this is something that you can't forget for the rest of your life. My time kol shimshei have a osil. Rebbe would show up every Friday night. Look at the Rebbe Kiva Eger on the side, Gillian Shas. You have to see this inside. Big day Chamuda, says Rebbe Kiva Eger. He used to wear his Shabbos clothes. Upoiter es rabim bekiddush hayoim. He would make kiddush and pater. Now everybody goes wild on this. He's dead and he's not chai b'mitzvahs. How could a dead person be mitzi's family in kiddush? Rebbe Kiva brings this from Sefer Hasidim. That's why I'm telling you to look inside so you see him before Sefer Hasidim. So what they try to say is that this difference. If Eliyahu Hanavi, for instance, came in human form and wore clothing, then he would be chayiv in the mitzvahs and whatever. And if he came as an neshama, then he could go through the basic forest, like it says over there, etc., etc. So there's a difference if you come in a full form or not. Now, what bothered me is, why is this Gemara, you don't have really about other Tanaim, not even about Rebbe Kiva or Shimon Yochai, such powerful things, and how we're going to see the whole story how the Klal Yisrael was so ba'avelus when he was nifter and all that sort of thing. So the Hagdama of the Rambam to say this Roim, he talks about Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rebbe. He says even though his name was Yehuda, he's known as Rabbeinu HaKadosh. I'm just sticking in his name Rabbeinu HaKadosh because he never put his hands below his waist. Kedusha, and he says, he brings from the Gemara in Gittin that from Moshe Rabbeinu until Rebbe, there's never that sort of Torah and Gedula b'makim echad. He had wealth. He was Antoninus's. The Rambam doesn't talk about it, but throughout Shas, he was Antoninus, the king's best friend. In Avodah Zarah, it describes how Antoninus used to go visit him with a secret tunnel, and he used to kill his 2 servants, so nobody should know about it. In the Yerushalmi, it's brought down. Also, in Taisus brings it down in Avodah Zarah that Antoninus did tshuva. He became a ger later. But okay, fine, a whole long arichos. So you don't find the idea of Torah. He was the Rebbe of Klal Yisrael and such wealth together in one place, like you have with Rabbeinu HaKadosh. And then he says also, he brings the Gemara in Saita that Mishemeis Rebbe, from the day that Rebbe died, Batla Anava. He was also the greatest honor of the person that worked on his midas. He was Yiras Chet, it says. There's almost Yiras Chet from the time that Rebbe was nifter. And then the Rambam says, stop. Cut that out, Yosef, seriously. There's never a person who ever wrote a chibur like Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Shisha Siddur Mishnah, because until then, we know that everything is Baal Peh. So he's the first one that brought a sefer that all of Klal Yisrael learned by, and it learns Ad Yom Hazeh. So therefore, Rebbe was in a category of his own. Now that we know this Rambam, And then the Ben Yehoyada, I saw something of Ben Yehoyada sticks in here that also made it a little bit easier to understand, is that when we'll see from later from the story, the Klal Yisrael was davening, she live. So the Ben Yehoyada says an amazing thing, that the tefillas of Klal Yisrael never go in vain, and that tefillah is what kept Rebbe sort of alive, even though he died. Okay, Zok the Gemara. So he comes home every Friday night and makes kiddush. Ahu beishimsho asoi shivasa kokari abava. A neighbor came on a Friday night, starts knocking on the door, making a whole, hey, I need some salt, making a whole tumult. Abraham says, so the shifcha comes out, shtiku, be quiet, what's wrong with you? The Rebbe Yosef, you'd never do it if Rebbe was alive. Guess what? Rebbe's alive, he's sitting there, he's making kiddush right now. Quiet. Kivin the Shama, so Rebbe heard this, what happened, shuvli Yosef. To me, it's also a pel applying, because if he's Mekayim mitzvahs, and you have to say, l'chayr, that he's Mekayim mitzvah, and it goes into his account. So the whole problem of dying is that you can't add to your account once the person dies, and he's here, he's able to add and do mitzvahs, maybe not. He's mechuyev in the mitzvah, maybe he doesn't get any schar for it, maybe he could say like that, I don't know. But he didn't want people to talk about it, so he gave up his life. He said, I'm not coming back. Give him the shama shuvli yasa. Why? Shaloi, huh? Yeah, that's what you were learning now. Shaloi loitzi laz al tzadikim. Yes. Shaloi loitzi laz al tzadikim rishonim. That people shouldn't say, look, Rebbe could come home and make kiddush, and what about Reb Shimon bar Yochai? What about Rebbe Kiva? What about the G'dalim that lived before him? So, it's a good enough reason to give up everything. Says the Gemara. Yosef chifoni v'Shimon efrosi hem sheshuni v'chayai hem sheshuni v'moisi. So Rebbe said, I want these two to be with me. That they were alive, and he said they were alive. We thought that Rebbe was referring to this world, but they died before Rebbe. That they were over Aveira. The Rebbe who the Hanyalu. He wanted to say, Rebbe, that these two, they're big tzaddikim, and it's they're in their own merit, they're around. Omar lehem l'chachmi Yisrael ani tzarich. So bring in the chachamim. Nichlas l'chachmi Yisrael. Omar lehem al tisbeduni ba'yaros. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Says Rebbe, time is going to come. I'm not going to be here. Lachamei v'esrim. Don't stop and give me a hesped in the small cities. V'yishivu, just in the larger krachim. V'yishivu yeshiva la'achar shleishim yoyim. So there's the Isser. It says in the Gemara right here, in this line right over here. Yeshiva went back, and people started learning again after 30 days. In other words, when the Nasi, Reb Yehuda Nasi, he was the Nasi, Rabbeinu Kodesh was the Nasi. When Nasi dies, it's also to learn Torah for 30 days. It's unbelievable. Yeshivas are closed for 30 days. They're asuk in the hesped. Sponsored in honor as a zchus to continue being able to support Torah and to finish Shas with Reb Eli. Shim b'ni chacham. So he said like this: I have 3 sons. Shimon is the smart one. He's the chacham. Gamliel b'ni nasi. I want Gamliel to take over. Chanina bar Chama yeshiv baroish. And Chanina, not my son. Sorry. 2 sons, and the third one, Chanina bar Chama, Yeshiv Baroish, he should be the Rosh Yeshiva. There's a lot of machlekes today in Klal Yisrael because in different Chassidus and different things that the Rebbe didn't say exactly who should take over, who should be the Rebbe, and then they split and fights and the whole. He said it very straight out, even though, we're going to see in a second. Don't make Hespedim in the small villages. We thought that's because he didn't want to trouble people. Because they were doing this Hespedim in the big cities, and everybody from the small places had to travel all the way to the large cities. Obviously, it wasn't about not troubling people because he's troubling everybody. He wanted it to be a covered Torah, and there should be large funerals. And we see in a second that everybody comes to one of these funerals. It's not, there's already 200,000 people, so what am I? I'm 200,001. No, every person is chashav. The boy said, this is going to blow your mind right here. We are not better than Moshe Rabbeinu. D'chsiv vayifku b'nei Yisrael es Moshe ba'arves moyev shloshim yoyim. When did we read this? Today. Unbelievable. This is mamish. A neshika from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're learning a daf of Simchas Torah. Vayivku b'nei Yisrael es Moshe ba'arves moyev shloshim yoyim. Today we read it. We were saying it in thing. The what? I'm not more choshev, says Rebbe, than Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu only had 30 days. Give me 30 days. What? I don't know. So tomorrow. So for America, it's even better because we are already on tomorrow's. That's okay. Yeah, we're doing today's daf. Yeah, correct. Plus, when they watch it, when the Americans watch it, it's going to be the day that they read it. Huh? And Australia. Well, I have no idea where Australia. Where's Australia right now? What day is it in Australia? By the way, when did you start? When did you start with our share? We can choose after, but why not now? Beginning? That's chashiv. The free Gemaras come out to Australia? Really? Wow. Okay. Okay, so 30 days, there was a spadim 24 hours a day. So I don't know if we have to picture this. Rebbe, the God died. We went to Reb Chaim Kanevsky's Levaya, and then we're done. This is 30 days straight, Yoimam V'Layla, 24/7. Mikam Ve'elach Savdu B'Yimama, or 24/6, I don't know. Mikam Ve'elach Savdu B'Yimama V'Garsa B'Lelia. And after that, after the 30 days, for an entire year, they did a spadim in the daytime, and they learned at night. Oh, Savdu B'Lelia V'Garsa B'Yimama, 12 hours a day, for 12 months straight. Or 11 months after the first month. Ad the Sabbath Treza Yachishata for 12 months. Au Yoima. Ashkafti the Rebbe Navka Baskol of Amra, the day of his Ptira, there was a Baskol called the Hava Bashkafti the Rebbe Mizumanu L'chaya L'mabah. Whoever was there by the Levaya, he's welcome to Olam Haba. Says Taisus all the way in the top. Tema Bali Kol Yisrael Yishnam Chelak L'Olam Haba. Every Jew has a portion of Olam Haba. What's the B'chidush? Bishop Rebbe Meir. It's talking about your muchan not going to be judgment, nothing. Everybody free. The door is open, everybody comes in. A one-time thing. Says the Gemara. So Reb Yitzchak Khan Inspector says here, beautiful. I saw part of it in the art school, but I saw more of it later on in the Masifta was Givaldik, who he says a beautiful vart. Well, everybody went to Levaya, so people go to Levaya, so because you went to Levaya. So he says that there's I forgot who says it, there's a Gemara that says that you read, why do we read the death of Aaron's children on Yom Kippur? Because just like Mis is Mechaper, the Mis of Tzadikim is Mechaper. But there's Machlaikis in the Gemara, is very chashav. The Machlaikis in Gemara, if you have to do tshuva on Yom Kippur or not. According to Rebbe, even without tshuva, Yom Kippur is Mechaper. Oh, so because on the when a tzaddik is nifter, his biggest award is that we go like him, we do like him. So on the day of his death, we paskin like Rebbe that you don't have to do tshuva and Yom Kippur is mechaper, but also means that tzaddikim is mechaper. And Memela, everybody is mezumin l'chayel mab. Oh, says the Gemara, huh? How koivus? How koives kol yoima? There was a laundryman kol yoima have a osi kamei. He would come to Rebbe. Oh yoima lo yasa. Kivin the shama hachi. He heard that whoever makes it to the levaya goes into Olam Haba freebie. He couldn't believe it. Here he is. He's a person that's by Rebbe every single day, and the one day that it really counts, he misses. Solik ligara. He went up to the roof. V'nofal ha'ara. And he died, and he died. Yosef Baskal v'Amra. And Baskal comes and says, "Afu koives mezumin hu l'chayel mabah," because he died out of the pain and aggravation of not being there. Mezumin. Now, in Bereshis, next week we're going to read this pasuk. I think it's very important for the Olam to know that to commit suicide is a issa deraisa, and we learn from this pasuk. V'achas dimchem l'sheseichem edroish miyad kol chayed rishenu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says a person cannot take his own life. It's Issa Deraisa. So how in the world did this koives commit suicide? What?
Not next week.
You're right. Yeah. The next parasha Noach. So there's a few answers here. There's a shaila if a person who commits suicide to be mechaper zon avera is that okay? Could a person take his own life when he's chayiv misa? So now there's a fascinating Yerushalmi. Once we're here already, it's Motzei Shabbos, Motzei Yantiv. Fascinating. There's no charge to it. Don't worry about it. Fascinating Yerushalmi, which says that when Rebbe was nifter, they kept on being maspidim, and it just kept on going. So there was a nace. The sun didn't go down. And then when the people went home after the Levaya, whole Yerushalmi, they went home, they made Kiddush, and all of a sudden became daytime again. In other words, it caught up to where it was supposed to be. So everybody was concerned that maybe the Michal Shabbos, what's going on? It was just night, a second it was a night, day, where are we? So Baskol came out and said, don't worry. But this Koives guy, he thought he's Michal Shabbos because it was day, he was working. All of a sudden it was night for 20 minutes and then it became day again. So that's why he was very sad and he thought he needed skila because he's Michal Shabbos. He jumped off the roof. Okay, fine, that's what people want to say. But I heard another pshat from the Yavits. The Yavit says this Koives, this Koives was not just a laundryman. This Koives is the one from the Masechta Soita. Where does he bring it from? Nedarim. Nedarim Daf Yomi Aleph, it says the Rebbe got very sick and he forgot his learning. And a Koives came in and reminded him of his learning. He's actually Rebbe's Rebbe. He's not just a Koives, a laundryman. He's the Rebbe of Rebbe, and therefore he was very bitzar. And the Ben Yehoyada says, I laughed when I saw the shot, not making fun of the Ben Yehoyada. I just thought it was cute in a way. He goes, he only went he jumped off a 3-foot thing. He wanted to show that he was upset. Because Baruch caused him to die from it. They didn't commit suicide. That's what Ben Yehoyada says. Okay, fine. Fine. Weiter. You like it? The other one is too much for you. Huh? Moshe says, Bitzar. Oh, once we're here, I'll tell you another pshat. He's right. There are those who learn, like the Moshe, he didn't commit suicide. He went up to the roof and became mishuga from pain. And just he was delirious that he lost balance and he fell off. That sort of thing. Okay. Yeah, that's what you told us. What are you saying?
The question. How high was the roof then? Okay. That's exactly right.
As high as that thing with Adamaika. Yeah. No, you could die from 5 feet also if you land on people die from diving into a pool that's 3 feet. If a person lands on his neck, whatever. Yeah? What are you saying?
If people at the funeral,
yeah,
they get habab. But if they lived 20 years more and committed all these averas, why do they?
I hear. That's a good shaila. I don't know. It's a good shaila. No, obviously, if you commit an avera afterwards, as is right now, you're going straight in without it. I hear. What does it help if you're not nifter that minute? You're saying it's a good shaila. That's where you get it from. Steiner's father. This guy, your son stumps me all the time. Sits here and throws that little Givaldi. 3 generations of Steiner. It's beautiful, by the way. You should get a picture of it. 3 generations. Yoey, I'm very proud of you. Sticking it out. Tell Yo, this is my son Yo's best friend. He's still doing the daf. My son, I don't know where he's at. Okay. Wait a minute. He told me he had a sleepover in your house. Is he there waiting for you? Where?
Yoni.
He said Yoey, not Yoni. I don't let him go to Yoni's house. I don't know who Yoni is. Okay. Oh, we'll talk about it later. We said this already. Fine. Shimon b'ni Chacham. My Kamar. What is Rebbe saying? My son is very smart. He's telling the oil, this kid is a big balmidas. If he's not appointing him to a position, then what's the point of saying that he's a Chacham? Shimon b'ni Chacham. I don't want you to make a mistake and say, Shimon, Nasi has to be the genius of the generation. It's not just he's not a melech. He has to paskin. He has to be chashav and Torah. So don't say that Shimon is the chacham, and therefore he should be Nasi. I'm telling you, I know that he's the chacham, and nevertheless, he's not going to be the Nasi. Gamliel b'ni Nasi. Omar Levi tzrichel meimar. Why does he have to say it? Of course. Gamliel is the Bechar, so the Bechar becomes the Nasi. So then what's the Shayla Bechal? Amar Rebbe tzrichalach. Amar Reb Shimon bar Rebbe. Amar Reb Shimon bar Rebbe tzrichalach umetalatach. Do I need you in your limp? What's going on here? Now, the famous, remember that sugya, maybe Yosef will find that I didn't have time. When I got on the table, I did the kriya v'shtachava. So one of the things I didn't do, because I didn't want to become lame, is the kida. That's bending down until the thumbs. It's very complicated. Levi showed it to Rebbe. Our Rebbe was just nifter. Levi showed it to him and he became lame. How does a person talk like that? I need you, and you're... The guy is never crippled. He's walking around like that, and you're going to throw it out in his face, Mr. Cripple. So, why did Levi become crippled? They explain beautifully. Levi became crippled because he was matiach dvarim klapi shmaya. He had tightness on Hashem. So, he was warned. He's warning him. Don't become a double lame now. Remember what you did last time. You became lame. Don't do it again. Don't repeat your mistake. You're going to become lame again. Don't have tightness on Rebbe. Don't be matiach dvarim klapi Rebbe. So the Gemara, but my kashalei. Why was he so upset at Levi? Hakrakamar. Levi was just quoting a pasuk. It goes by Bechar. He's saying beautifully. Says Gemara, by King Yosef, who was he? Shafat. He was just filling in his father's shoes. But Gamliel is not the Bechar who fills up the shoes. He can't be like his father. So how come Rebbe actually gave it to him? He should give it to the one that was smart. Oh, this word fills in beautifully because it says Miyoim Shemeis Rebbe Batal Anov and Yiras Chet. I just paid attention to it now. So he was excited that his son had Yiras Chet. So he gave him the Yiras Chet. The Yiras Shemayim is more important than the Chacham, the one who knows how to learn. I want Chanina to be the Rosh Hashiva. Loi kibol Rebbe Chanina. He said no. Show your Rebbe Efes Godum Menu Shteishanim Umechza. So when I first learned it, I was shocked because Rebbe Efes was older than him by 2.5 years. 2.5 years. So for that you give a Rebbe. Galadar says you become Rosh Hashiva, and I say no. That guy is older than me. I'm going to be 50 in a few days. I'm 50 and he's 52.5. By the way, like a little kid. I'm 5.5 years old. He's 52.5. What's that? So I'm not joking. I did a cheshbon. I just did a simple cheshbon. If a guy learns 14 hours a day, and a Tana could probably learn more than that. We'll go on a very, very low thing. 14 hours a day times 2.5 years. That's 12,775 hours. 12,000. So everybody says you can become a professional. A ping pong player, guitar player, karate champ in 10,000 hours. All you need is 10,000 hours. So 12, it's a lot. 2.5 years of Torah, of non-stop Torah. 2.5 years. He has 12,500 more hours than the other one. That's a lot. Huh? Outliers, yeah.
Yeah, they both have 220,000. He has 220,000 hours. It's 230.
It's a lot. Torah. You know how many Shas Torah? I mean, this, that. There was a Bacher in Yeshiva who the Yeshiva caught like pushing a guy from the lower shear out of the way. It's like, I'm the Alter Bacher. I'm from shear Gimel and he's from shear Aleph. So she get over here. Well, get over here. Well, what are you doing? What? He says, you remember the tzais I said a half a year ago? No. You remember my shmooze I gave before Shana, Chaim Shmulevitz? No. So it's because you're older, that's why. It doesn't go by age. It goes by yediyah. So obviously, I'm saying, I'm just bringing from the Rosh Hashiva. Rosh Hashiva is mechazik my thing. It doesn't go by age. It's how much you accomplish in those years, not just because I'm older. A lot of people are older and they're nothings. Okay, that's a good shaila, but you didn't get punished for it. You don't see that he got. Once a share. Yosef Rebbe Efes, we will say later. Yosef Rebbe Efes, Bereishiv Yosef Rebbe Chanina Abroi. So Rebbe Efes sat there as a Rosh Hashiva, and Rebbe Chanina was told to be Rosh Hashiva. He sat outside. Levi Yosef Gabei, and Levi sat and decided. Here's Levi again. He decided to keep Rebbe Chanina company. Not Rebbe Efes Rebbe Efes was nifter. Yosef Reb Chanina. Then Reb Chanina jumped in and became the Reshiva. So Levi, who's the same age as Reb Chanina and the same chashivos, he felt he couldn't go into the yeshiva and be what's subordinate to Reb Chanina. So he couldn't go in. What should he do? So he left because of the bubble. So he went to bubble. That's what happened. They told Rav that there's a person who's limping. He's a great man. V'darish kli l'shari, and he said that this ornament that you're allowed to take it out on Shabbos. Now I'll take it out on Shabbos. Okay. Omar Shmamin. Oh, so Rav said, oh, wait a minute. There's a limping Talmud Chacham that just showed up. He did a whole calculation in his head. From this I figured out Noach Nafshi the Rebbe Efes. I can figure out that the Reshiva, Rebbe Efes, was nifter, and therefore V'yaseh Reb Chanina Bereisha. So Reb Chanina, who was supposed to be the Reshiva before that, he's the Reshiva now. He had nobody to talk to, so he came to Babel. How do you figure it out? Ask the Gemara. Well, there's another option. Reb Chanina was nifter. Rebbe Efes Yosef, and Levi couldn't go inside to Rebbe office, so he came here. His chavrusa was nifter. Will they have a Levi in his because? So Gemara by saying a two pshatim. Levi Rebbe Efes make a kayifle. No, Levi would have gone in to the base medrash if Rebbe Efes was still alive, so he wouldn't come to Babel. Since Rebbe said those words, the Rebbe Chanina should be the Rosh Hashiva. Oh, this answers your kasha, Yosef. You hear? I didn't chap until now. Your kasha was, but Rebbe said, it was bothering me the whole time. The Rebbe told him to be the Shiva. How do you go against it? She said, no, I'll have my time. Don't worry. Let him go first. Don't worry. And kachava, he was nifter and he took over. It's impossible. If Rebbe said those words, you should be the Rosh Shiva. It's impossible that Reb Chanina was nifter without being the Rosh Shiva. Therefore, I came to the conclusion that Rebbe Office was nifter. Reb Chanina jumped in instead of him. Levi lost his chavrusa, so Levi came to Bavel. The Sibu b'tzadikim, it says by the tzadikim, v'tigzer oimer v'yokom loch. Oh, now I have a kasha my father. I have to call him up and ask him. Over here, you see, my father once told me that the moifis, the brach of tzadikim, he has rise from Shas that doesn't really work after the nifter. It's the kayach is when they're alive. So I have to ask him how this fits in over here. I think it's oimer v'yokom loch. Here's after Rebbe was nifter, his brach is mekuyim. Okay, maybe it's xer, I don't know. Not a brach so much.
Rebbe was still alive even if he was nifter.
Oh,
very good.
Wow. We don't know how long that lasted, but okay, here. Zog the Gemara, huh?
Maybe you find your father.
I don't know if anybody heard that, but he said that Rebbe, probably you hear it, the Rebbe is still alive, and therefore, according to my father said Rebbe is still alive, and that's why he isn't going. Vahava asked the Gemara, okay, now just Vahava Reb Chia. What about Reb Chia? Why isn't he the Rosh Shiva? Noach Nafshe, he was nifter. Asked the Gemara, let me prove it to you from a number of different cases that Reb Chia was still alive when Rebbe was nifter, so he should have been the Rosh Shiva. Rebbe should have told him to be the Rosh Shiva. Here, I have a picture. Reviewed Anasi's caver. I saw this caver, he says. In other words, Reb Chia was nifter after Rebbe. So how come Rebbe didn't tell him to be the Rosh Hashiva? You can't tell me he was nifter beforehand. And I cried. Epoch, you're right. We have to flip it around. So the story happened that Rebbe, I think that's what it means, Epoch, no? Rebbe saw Reb Chia's thing? Yeah. Okay. But here we can't flip it. Reb Chia says, I was there when he was nifter. No Kedusha. Explained before, Kedusha means that Rebbe didn't put his hands below his belt, below his waist. Epoch. The Rebbe said it about Reb Chia. Reb Chia came into Rebbe and he saw him crying. Why are you crying? Person dies when he's laughing. It's a great simon. He's going to go to Gan Eden. If he's doing it, if he's crying, it's a bad simon. So again, what's the shaila? If he's crying, why is Rebbe crying? It's a bad simon. So they ask, I don't remember who, but so what's it going to help him now to stop crying? It's still simon ran. No, if he just died, whatever the shayla, but the answer is that it was a contradiction. Reb Eli is asking him a contradiction. On the one hand, I see that you're crying, but in mitzat sheni, we see if a person dies with his face down, simin ra. Before I get to the answer to that, there was I don't want to forget this. There was a mice with the Kotzker Rebbe, I think it was. Yeah, he's very sharp. And somebody told him that a Rebbe said that, how's it go? That look at the Yetzer Hara, he says. Look at the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara wants me to be sad. I forgot the whole cheshbon. The Rebbe said that he was able to be misgaber himself on the last seconds. The Yetzer Hara wanted him to not have a siman toiv, and then so because of that, he faced the wall to make it to show on. What are you saying, Gary? Gary.
So the picture is a mistake.
It's a mistake, you're saying? Yeah. It's not Reb Eli Nasi. What is it?
It's a bit of the seal. It's grandson.
No, it says here Yuda Hanasi. I'm reading it here.
I don't know. What's the actual paper?
Yeah.
And why does it say Yuda Hanasi here? In the thing on the parechas, I'm reading the word. It says Rabbi Yuda Hanasi. I hear. We made that mistake before once. I called him Rabbi Yuda Hanasi. We didn't see is the grandson. Okay.
Really, the parechas is, but they're not the building.
You mean the one on the right is Yuda Nasiya? Maybe the one on the left is the right one. Okay. Fine, let's have it. The bottom line is the Kotzker Rebbe said, okay, so the Rebbe said that the Yitzhar comes the last second and he's trying to trick him into being a Bagaiva and he's on a. So the Kotzker Rebbe said, so then why did he say it? If the Rebbe was a true Anav, he shouldn't have said over the story how the Yitzhar is trying to fool him and he should have just pretended that he's a Bagaiva. Okay, one of those chaps. Okay, Zog the Gemara. But it's from this that you face the wall, you face the floor, it's a bad simon. If you're laughing, part of the mala, part of the mala, part of Yerukim, they're yellow, his face, part of Tuvim, Va'adumim, Meisber Shabbos, here. So Rebbe died Erev Shabbos. Here's a Simiyafa, but on the flip side, you're crying. It's a contradiction. Motzi Shabbos Simraloi. If a person dies on Motzi Shabbos, it's a bad omen. Meisber Yom Kippur Simraloi. That's mamish like you were saying almost, Dr. Steinhardt, that a person who dies Erev Yom Kippur, he doesn't have the whole year of Yom Kippur. He did Averis for the entire year. He died on the last day before he had a kapara. Person that dies right after Yom Kippur, he has Yom Kippur and he did tshuva. Simiyafaloi means he's going with a clean slate. Meis mecholim ayim, he has intestinal disease, simin yafaloi, that's like tremendous yisurim, and that is mechaper. Most tzaddikim, they die from intestinal disease. So the question is, he asked Rebbe, why are you crying? I'm crying for the Torah and the mitzvahs that I can't be Mekayim. The Ma'aseh at the end, he was maybe Mekayim, maybe he wasn't. And that's exactly what I said a few days ago about the Vilna Gaon who died with those words. He said, tzitzis you could buy with a few cents. You'd say that it was Reb Chia who was crying and Rebbe asked him, why are you crying? Reb Chia was alive and well. But the reason why Rebbe didn't want to make him Rosh Yeshiva is because Reb Chia was very busy with mitzvahs. What does that mean? You're fighting with me? I'm so good at learning since Reb Chia. And the Achronim explained, it wasn't like a gaiva fight. It was like, what's more important to Klal Yisrael? He says, I could recollect, I could rehash, or whatever the word is, I could redo the entire Shulchan Aruch, the whole Shas, just from Chachma. Reconstruct the whole Torah from Chachma. Not from memorization, but through Pilpul. But what I did, says Reb Chia, I'm even greater than you. I might not be as sharp as you, but I'm physically going around and teaching Torah to the young and making sure that Torah is not forgotten. Daisina, listen to this. Very, very important. And he goes to Tarichas. Daisino kitona v'shadyona. I plant cotton. Umegadleno nishbe. And then I make from the flax. And I take from the flax and I make nets. V'tzaydona tavia. And then I trap deer. Umachinlo bisr liyasme. And I take the deer and I do good things with the meat. I don't just eat it myself. I give it to the orphans. V'arichno migilto mimashchi tavia. And I take the hide and I make from it megillas, and from that the Gemara says I make chumashim and stuff. So very, very important. The famous Vilna Gaon, who says that if you were to take a branch of a tree and make the handle of an axe, and take metal and form an axe, and then chop down wood, and then build a shul, and go through the whole thing, but you build the shul from scratch, it will be a shul that can never be destroyed. And he brings it from this Gemara, the famous Vilna Gaon. Why did he have to do that? Go to the store, buy parchment, and write a Megillah. No, says the Vilna Gaon. Because the parchment that you buy in the store perhaps was bought with a loan that has ribbis. Perhaps the guy that did it had bad thoughts, the this and the that. And the Sitra Achra goes into the parchment and takes away from the memory of the little kid that's learning Torah. It's unbelievable. He decided he's going to go from scratch. He's going to plant the flax. Think about it, how hard that is. Plant the flax, weave it, and go through the whole thing, and make a net. He didn't go to the sports store and bought a net and trapped the animal. No. He made the net from scratch because if the net had any kind of shemetz of tumah, it would ruin the whole thing. I want Klai Yisrael to learn Torah from the purest fashion. You see here in the Gemara, it's unbelievable growth. I go to the worst neighborhoods, the ones that don't have any schooling whatsoever. No rabbis over there. I write 5 books, and I give each book, each sefer, each chumash, bereshis to this kid, shmois to this kid. In other words, each kid gets 1. Not all chamish chumshei Torah. 1 out of the 5. And the 5 teach each other. He learns bereshis. What he learns, he gives over to his little friend. And I teach him. I don't write the Mishnayos down because it's before Rebbe was nifter. And it only became mutter to write down Mishnayos all the way at the end of his Rebbe's life. Rebbe was mesader the Mishnah, but he didn't write it until literally in the last kufa. So he would teach him to them bal peh, because chad v'chad. I teach one kid one seder of the Mishnah, not shisha seder, and each kid gives it over to his friends. That Rabbi Isai is chesed and Torah together. That you don't take a person like that, not a guy. You don't take a Tana like that and make him a Rosh Hashiva. So Reb Shimon, the son of Rebbe, who's just said this, he's greater than you? Yes. Reb Yosef is sitting there. What? Is Reb Chia greater than my father, Reb Yosef? So some say that Rebbe was actually greater than Reb Chia, but he said it as a nova. Okay, the whole thing. Should we go weiter? When do we start? Really? We have. There's no way we're going to finish tomorrow the parak, right? Even if we go weiter. Okay, 2 more minutes. Bring in my younger one. Reb Shimon comes in. Taught him the chachma. Bring my oldest one. The Bechar comes in, almost like we said before. He told him how to be a nasi. How do they translate the word ramim? With, you should sit between the gdolim, says Rashi. Zroik mara b'talmidim. You should put fear in talmidim. I saw this ramim today. I loved it. For me, it was great. A lot of people have tinus on me, and it's not a good thing. But over Yontiv, I was in my mood, and I was like, calling people out. This guy was making noise, and this. So this ramim made me feel a little bit better. Ramim in Hilchos Talmud Torah, Perek Dal Halacha, that if a person is teaching Torah and he sees that the Talmidim are misrashal, they're talking on their phones or whatever. He says, you have to be machlim them, and you have to get mad at them, and put them in their place. As he's like the Rambam. I'm not saying that's a good thing that I did, but at least. All right, we're good friends. Everybody's good friends. We made up, I hope, for the most part. Says the Gemara. Yichabed should give kavod to the Talmid Chachamim, not fear. V'amar mar ze Yishav Melch Yehuda kshayroi Talmid Chacham oyoyim mekisoy mechapkoy menashkoy. The king, we saw a koil guy, a Talmid Chacham, you give him hugs and kisses, and there's a king who's not supposed to. He's more than a nasi. A king is higher level than a nasi in terms of kavod. You see that he wasn't makvin on his own kavod. Rebbe, Mari. Like Yosef did it when nobody was looking. When you're barabim, you have to remain and retain the kavod that's due to a nasi. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful week, a wonderful year, a good Vinter. Shkoya.